Hey guys, I'm Zach,
And I'm B.
and we are Radio Camp Half-Blood. We're a weekly Percy Jackson read-along podcast. I've read the books.
And I have not. Well, I'm getting there.
Yeah, and we talk about mythology and Percy Jackson.
And I often get stuff wrong.
But we tell terrible jokes.
And sometimes good jokes.
We also make friends along the way. This sounds like a 90s Disney movie.
Like Halloween Town, which I reference in every episode for no discernible reason.
And I talk about my gay horse fan fictions.
Even though you shouldn't.
Well, I'm Zach.
I'm B.
And we're Radio Camp Half-Blood. And keep staying mortal.
Keep staying mortal.
Bye.
Bye.
Million beers.
Million beers. Million
Beers.
Okay, so here's my rant. I don't know how I should feel about big movie spoilers. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I get caught up in you got Avengers Endgames coming out, right? And then you had Game of Thrones coming out, and it's like all of a sudden it's like this huge war on should you spoil it? It leaked online, you shouldn't post about it, you shouldn't talk about it. And then you have people that are like, well, it doesn't really ruin anything. You don't even know if these spoilers are for real or not for real. And I'm sort of caught up in the middle because I'm the type of person that really does want to know everything before I see it. So
Same.
I don't mind being spoiled. I'm like, hell yeah, spoil the entire thing. Cause then I feel like, okay, I can watch it and enjoy it. And I'm not going to be like, oh my God, the Red Wedding. It's like, I had no idea about the Red Wedding. And that was like, what? But had I known, I would have been able to enjoy it more. I would have enjoyed that slaughter more. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like everybody gets really tense about spoiling and really like, oh, but and you can't post or you can't talk about it. And I just don't know how to feel about that.
So the thing with this so first off, I am 100% with you. I love ruining movies for myself.
I kind of do too.
The other thing, I kind of like, and I think this says something bad about me as a person. I kind of like the smug satisfaction of knowing something that like I'm not supposed to know. Like I just like, I love it.
I am right there with you.
Yeah. So
I have no shame in saying that. Hell's yeah.
No, it's
I want
terrible.
to know. I want to know before all these rubes sitting around me. I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, right? So I didn't go looking. I am on a bunch of Game of Thrones subreddits because I'm super, super into it. And like the books and everything else and whatever.
Free Folk. Did you go on Free Folk?
I absolutely did. And I saw the leaks. And
Me too.
It's driving me crazy, Marie. What
too.
if that's the way it goes? Anyways, we're not going to get into it.
We're not
Not
gonna
on air.
spoil it.
But the challenge, I think, is it's kind of twofold for me, right? First off, with comic book movies, a lot of the times you kind of know where it's going because you've read the damn comics.
Well,
It's like having, the Passion of the Christ. Not, I don't want anyone to spoil it for me. I don't know if he comes back or not.
Or the Titanic.
Or Titanic, right? Yeah, Titanic. It might go badly. I can see with these movies, Endgame and everything else, it's not 100% accurate to the comics. There's creative storytelling going on, all that kind of stuff. I completely understand all that. So I can see people being mad. What drives me crazy, though, is the complete lack of care being shown by websites and not just Reddit. Reddit is created by, monsters. What I mean is sites like, I don't know. If on my phone, I have the thing where if you scroll to the left, you can see kind of news and stuff.
Yeah. And
if I hadn't already looked for spoilers for my own kind of sanity, because I know I hate going to the movie theater when it's packed full of people.
Exactly.
It's like one of the worst experiences in the world.
Yes.
Although I have a funny story to tell about that after this section here. if I didn't know all that stuff before, I would have swiped left by accident or something and seen, spoiler, 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 one after the other.
Why shouldn't they post that? Like, that's my whole thing too. Is it's like, well, why shouldn't a magazine or whatever post their theories on this stuff?
They can, right? but I'm saying that I don't think they should run the headline where it says this crazy thing happened. Oh my God. Like, you should have to, I think we should give people the option to find the spoiler if they want it, but not not have them accidentally find the spoiler doing something innocuous they don't. What are these people who want to enjoy the show for the first time supposed to do otherwise?
I guess, and see, this is the internal dilemma that I have within myself, because I hypothetically agree with you, but then there's this little, the lizard brain part of my body is just like, or in my head, it's like, yeah, but come on, man, like, you're out there in the world, like, there's no way that this isn't going to get spoiled. Just, if you don't want to, then don't look online. Don't check your internet.
I mean, the other thing is,
live in a room and then put the, wear the hoodie and dark glasses and get into the movie theater and see it the minute beforehand, or else you are going to be exposed to stuff.
Well, I was going to say, that's the other part of this.
Cold and uncallous and uncaring. And I don't necessarily feel that way, but it goes through my head sometimes.
No, but I'm with you, though, because with Harry Potter, when the 7th Harry Potter book came out,
yes,
I with the 6th and the 7th, I waited in line at Barnes and Nobles to get them. Like midnight. I went to the midnight releases. And when the 7th book came out, I read it all night. I finished it in one night.
Holy smokes.
I stayed up all night. I read the entire book. And I seriously, we probably got home with the book at 1 a.m. I read it from 1 a.m. until maybe 9 in the morning. My mom got up, made me breakfast, and then I fell asleep and I slept all day. I am one of those people but I'm also one of those people who reads theories obsessively on these things. I love the theories on books and stuff. I mean, the Leaky Cauldron for Harry Potter, when that website was a really big thing, when the books were just getting going, I would spend hours reading theories, as dorky as that is.
No, I was like that with Lost.
Yeah, see?
I was like that with anything that has any type of whatever like that. I will take on spoilers. I love spoilers. But I love theories. I love all of it equally.
Right, and so, but I think that for a lot of people, especially in the age, especially in the age where content is so protracted, you can go see a movie now, and you can watch it in so many different ways that you don't have to go to the movie theater to. And I think too, 10 years ago, even, it was harder for spoilers to get out there because everyone wasn't on the internet all the time, and we didn't have these things like our phones and stuff that constantly brought a screen to our face. When I wanted spoilers for that first Superman movie that they made, the remake or whatever, I had to delve into the internet's darkest places to find those spoilers.
You had to really work.
Yeah, I really had to work.
Really work.
Today, I can just go to CNN's website and it's blasted on the front page. Or I can go to BuzzFeed and it's right there. And again, I think that the problem is people don't... It's almost like a... What's the word? It's almost like it's taken to be a social... like an unkindness to spoil something for someone. And I don't think though that these websites take it or realize that it is going to be an unkindness to some people, but I don't see how they could not understand that at this point. I could see, the first wave of these movies coming out with really the advent of the internet and the smartphone and stuff. The first wave of big movies that came out after the iPhone became a big thing. I could see them not realizing the kind of backlash they might get for some of these spoilers and stuff they put in their headlines. Because now people have access to the content all the time. Today, now it just seems like a dick move to have, you're writing a spoiler in your title for a story, and you're not, you're like, I can't believe people are upset. Like, dude, people have waited for 7 years for this thing, and you're just gonna put it in your title like that, and then not give us the option to have to look at, putting it in the headline is, first off, I think it's.
I'll give you that. It's a dick move.
It's a dick move.
We can concur. That is a dick move. That's a total dick move.
Now, what do you think though about, because what one thing that did happen that was really annoying was you had people specifically like just like with Harry Potter, right? There was the guy that what the hell did he do? There was some guy, he made a post that said Snape kills Dumbledore, and on page 670 whatever it was.
Faking out with the fake spoilers?
Yes, I do mean that, Marie.
Well, but that's, then my whole thing is like, if spoilers exist, then the quality of the spoilers and the intent of the spoilers is up for questions, right? It's just like anything. It's like, of course there'll be malcontents that are going to say stuff like that, and you're going to be like, what? And then if that,
Well, so then what about the case though when someone is actively trying to spoil something?
Well,
right, on Reddit there were entire subreddits you couldn't go on.
Just a bunch of punks. Well, then don't go on them. I mean, if you are concerned, my whole thing is like, if somebody is intentionally trying to do something, then you should probably intentionally avoid the places that could be posted, like Reddit. But I guess my counter argument to this is like, a really good movie you can watch even if it is spoiled, right? Even if you like, I'm gonna say Citizen Kane, right? If you haven't watched Citizen Kane, I am now going to spoil Citizen Kane for you, because you know what? Like, that's a very old movie and you should have already watched it. But if you don't know at the end that Rosebud was his sleigh, like, you can have that spoiled and the movie is still an amazing film that's about more than just that one thing. Like, everything, the emotional content is what makes that reveal or the thing that's being spoiled so have so much emphasis. So you can be like, well, Rosebud's a sleigh. What do I care? That's stupid. But it's the story that builds as you watch it that could never be spoiled, right? Because they couldn't put all of the, everything that you're getting in from that movie out of it to get to that one point.
I think there is something to be said though for the idea that if you have been looking forward to this for so long,
yes,
and then you can't get to the first night of the movie because you work the next day or something. I had a friend who this happened to. He couldn't get tickets to the first night because it was all sold out. Everything else, whatever.
For what? For
Avengers, for Endgame. Oh. And then the next morning, he went to go look on his phone at his news app, and it spoiled the ending.
Well, but don't look at the damn news app, man.
But,
I mean, I know why. I know you can't. I know. That's
exactly.
Exactly.
It is a completely unrealistic expectation because the person, it's just.
Did he see the movie? Did he still enjoy the movie?
Yeah, of course. He saw the movie now, but again, I think that it is a really. I don't know. Why do these stories have to come out the next day? Why can't you just, wait 3 days?
There's people like us that want them so badly, dude. You can't say like, we can't love spoilers and devour spoilers like they're jelly beans and expect there not to be that supply and demand for this stuff. We're part of the problem.
I do wonder what the percentage.
Part of the problem.
I do wonder what the percentage is of people that like spoilers and people that hate them. I actually wonder what that statistic is because I bet it's a relatively even split. So the funny story about comic book movies that I was alluding to before, I went to go see. So I have seen and enjoyed almost every single Spider-Man movie, and frankly, piece of Spider-Man content that has ever existed, besides Spider-Man 3 and the Raimi what's it right? That one sucked.
Yeah. That one was bad.
I distinctly remember going to see The Amazing Spider-Man in theaters, and we're in the theater. It's super quiet. Everyone's really excited, whatever. And this is the one. This is the one with Andrew Garfield in it.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah,
it was really good, right?
Yeah.
And Uncle Ben gets killed, and some guy in the theater screams, "No, Uncle Ben, not again!" And everyone in the theater died. It was just pure laughter, right? It's supposed to be this really emotional scene, and it's just like he dies all the time. Being cast as Uncle Ben is the most perilous situation in comic book movie history. You know, unless you're Batman's girlfriend. Batman's girlfriend usually gets it worse. She's got a bigger target on her head.
True.
Anyways,
True. At least lasts for most of the movie. But yes, I agree.
Yes. Anyways, it's just such an interesting dynamic with the comic book movie because these stories, for the most part, have already been told. But again, it's the different take on them that is what is so enjoyable for me, at least. You know,
right? Which you're still going to go see, even though you know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I read the original Infinity Gauntlet story when it, back whatever a long time ago. I read it for the first time.
Me too. Yep.
I'm still going to go see Endgame because I want to see how these people put their creative spin on it. No.
Oh man,
I know everything.
Spoil it for you. No, I do too.
I know everything because I'm bad.
I haven't got a chance to go see it. I haven't got a chance to see it yet either. But of course I know it. I'm not going to not go to that film not knowing everything.
No, I don't like theaters.
I don't.
I bet there are. That's the other thing though too, right? I bet that there are other people like me who, if me and my wife go to see a movie, we go at like Tuesday night at 8:00.
Yeah.
You know,
because nobody's there.
Tickets are cheaper. Nobody's there. They usually give you free stuff at the snack counter. It's awesome.
Totally. I would agree.
So for me and for me and Katie, and I bet for a lot of other people, the spoiling thing can be a bigger deal. At least, not so much for me, but I know Katie's the same way with us, is looking at the spoilers and everything else. But still, I know that there are definitely couples out there or people who do the same thing. They go on a Tuesday. They go when it's not as packed and whatever. And by that point, these movies are already spoiled.
Right.
And that sucks. And so I just think that media companies and people could be more careful with their headlines.
Responsible.
I wanted them to be more responsible with their headlines.
Okay, so that's all good and well. Now, what do you think happens in Game of Thrones? Last 2 episodes. Throw out a prediction. Just one prediction. We're not spoiling. We're just predicting. On a very general level.
What do I think happens?
Yeah, give me 1 point.
Okay, I can guarantee that Podrick is going to bed his way to the Iron Throne. Pod the Rod is coming, ladies.
I love that he survived.
It's such it's such like a weird, the plot armor of Podrick is my favorite thing. I hope he never dies. That was the same thing with and maybe he does, I don't know.
Right.
The same thing with what's his face, with Samwell Tarly. Right, with Sam.
Oh, yeah.
When after in the battle of Winterfell, I was like, if they kill my beautiful fat boy, I'm gonna be so upset. I was on pins and needles that episode the entire time. I was like, oh my god. Anyways, it's a great
he was like, I was like, oh dear, please come on, man. Come on, man. Stiff upper lip, dude. Stiff upper lip. I was also happy. Here's my thing. I was very happy to see Bronn. Everyone was like, that was so cliched. He knew exactly where they were, and he walked in and he said something, funny. And I was like, I know. I was so excited to see him and have him do that. I loved that.
So Bronn has been one of my least favorite characters in the books.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
He's a really real piece of crap in the books, but he is a great show character, I think. What I think, this has been kind of one of my predictions. One of my long-standing predictions for a long time on the show was, I thought that it was going to end up being. I always held to the belief that Tyrion was a Targaryen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Could be.
That's always been. He absolutely still could be.
Mm-hmm.
That has always been one of my favorite pet theories. That Tyrion, that the mother of Tyrion was essentially what they thought happened to Lyanna Stark.
Right.
Actually happened to Tyrion's mother.
Yeah.
And so that is why Tywin hates him, because the mother died in childbirth and he knows it's not really his son. So I always thought that the show was, and this is true with the books too, I always thought and had this theory that that's the way it's going to go. So I kind of, I think it's just with how much time is left in the show, I think it gets
for that too.
It's such a big story, or it's such a big thing that I think they would have had to have introduced it like a season ago, really. Yeah. Just like they did with with our other beautiful boy. But so I always thought that it was going to be kind of the 3 Targaryens left at the end, and it would all come to light that they were Targaryens, and it would be what's the word? It would be the big right because Tyrion is said. If you remember, there was a quote of Tyrion's. Marie, we should just do a million beers on Game of Thrones.
We should, but okay, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna wrap with this. Don't look for the quote, but just like end your prediction. Dude, just give you a little bit. Look at you go, man. I asked for one little prediction and you're like, and then in the second book.
No, wait, Marie, I think we did. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording. I think we did too many spoilers. Yeah. Thank you again, dear listeners, for listening to the Mad Scientist podcast. I have been your host, Chris Cogswell, joined by my co-host,
Marie Mayhew.
If you'd like to contact the show, please send us an email at themadscientistpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word. You can also follow us on Twitter at MadScientistPod or at Team Giant Squid for Marie. And of course, you can see us on Facebook, on Instagram, and all over the internet as the Mad Scientist Podcast. And again, our logo is the one with the pumpkin head, so it's easy to see.
Mm-hmm.
If you've enjoyed the show tonight, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where the money that you give to us will help us to promote this show further, to make it better, and just to spend more time making it.
Because we love doing that.
We do love doing that. Our logo was designed by Carrie Shaheen. Our web design is done by Desdemona Howard.
Woohoo!
And our sound design is done by Jake Cardinal. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you. This has been a Damn It Chippy production.